See, the comparison isn't the problem. It's the story we tell ourselves about what it means. You're listening to Say It Anyway, the podcast for people who know they're meant for more and are done holding back. I'm Maggie Marcus, and here we talk courage, self-trust, and what it takes to lead yourself, even when it scares the hell out of you. So this week started out real fun. I had a moment this week where I saw someone online that I knew, and suddenly my entire sense of self just like shrank. You know, when you see someone and think, dang, like they're so much better at that than me. Like 5 minutes ago, you're all confident, you feel good about yourself, and now you're like, why would anyone listen to me? Maybe my ideas aren't that good after all. Maybe if I was more like Stacy, then I'd have more success. And that was me this week. I had like a full-on Tuesday comparison spiral. Like, I decided, it was like the end of my work day, and I wanted to find someone that I work with on socials. So I go in there because I'm just curious about her. Like, we all do that, right? I'm just curious about her. She seemed cool. And so I go onto her page. She used to have her own business, and she worked with some really high level clients, and she like networked and was in rooms with people that I would love to be in rooms and network with. And her content, I like ended up binging her content. Oh my gosh. I just felt like she had such a strong presence. Like she had really good perspective, and she had some good hooks that like didn't really feel like hooks. And she just felt like really real, and like she was just straight up. She had very authoritative and like very leadership energy, confident. And I was instantly like, oh my gosh, she's so much better than me. And then I start like worrying because I'm like, is this what people want? Like, she just had a very like expert vibe, and I'm thinking maybe this is what people want, not inspiration. Maybe I should be more like this. Maybe I'd have more success if I was like more like her. And so then I'm like scrolling, binging her videos. I go through like all her stories. I'm embarrassing. And then I go back to my page and I'm looking at it, and I'm feeling, I don't know, I just feel so discouraged. Like, my videos now seem so bland and boring and basic. It feels like my content is too soft, and like maybe my videos are too nice. Maybe I don't have enough authority. Maybe I'm talking about things that people don't actually care about. And this is stuff that even I've like previously felt good about, maybe even borderline proud of. And now I'm looking at it and like feeling so lame in comparison. And then after I do that to myself, I open up an email from this like course that I'm in. I'm just starting it this week. And they had asked all of the course participants to send in a bio of themselves, and they put together like in the workbook like a picture of you and your bio so that everyone can kind of get to know you. Okay. I had sent in the bio. They said 3 to 5 sentences, right? And I go in, I'm like curious about everyone else, and I start flipping through it, and everybody has these freaking like professional bios and these cool credentials, doctor this, doctor that, started this business, accomplished blah, blah, blah. And I have, developed this framework, and then we get to mine, guys. Do you know what I freaking wrote in my bio? My bio was, I can't remember word for word, but I literally said that I basically talked about the fact that I'm obsessed with cats. I'm a hummus connoisseur, or for the white people out there, hummus. Uh, and that I like to walk on my hands, because I can't stand walking. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you, I was like so mortified that this was my bio, because I decided to take a more fun, I thought that it was like get to know you on a personal thing. And so I just got red and I felt my body get hot. And I was like, Maggie. And this doesn't happen to me that often where I feel embarrassed like that. But in that moment, I was like, are you serious? Everyone literally has a professional ass bio. And here I am talking about hummus, my cats, and freaking handstand walking. And my bio, and everyone's proceeded, even though it was 3 to 5 sentences, they made them long ass sentences, so they had full bios. And mine was just like this short picture. My picture in this short little couple sentences, blank white page, and then the person below me's picture. And I'm just, yeah. So I'm sitting there just feeling like, holy crap, what the heck is going on with me? And I'm just overanalyzing everything. I'm overanalyzing my content. I start reworking my keynote speech. I'm like trying to quote unquote fix things. And I'm just questioning myself and feeling really down. And here's the thing, like that comparison didn't just make me insecure. It made me start editing myself and changing myself. And then James comes home from work, and Amelia's downstairs, his daughter, and it's getting late now, and I'm upstairs in our loft where I work, and I'm just clacking away at the computer. I don't even notice the fact that it's gone dark around me. I'm literally sitting there with only the glowing light of the monitor staring at my screen, and just like feeling bad about myself. And so after a little bit of that, I'm like, okay, I should probably go downstairs because we're going to want to do dinner, and, I should probably turn the lights on. And so I go down there. I don't really have an appetite. I walk down the stairs with like this heavy energy, and I know they can feel it. They even ask me like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I also knew I was in that. That's the thing. I'm self-aware enough to recognize that. And I knew in that moment, like I had a choice because we were about to make dinner. I was like, I could stay in this energy, or I can help, get dinner going and, shift my thoughts and shift my energy and start, asking about their day and bring like level myself up. And so I proceeded to say, okay, let's get dinner going. Amelia, how was your day? And I start joking around with her, and I didn't let it ruin our evening together. And I was so proud of myself for that, because guys, like that is not what old me would have done. There's a version of me that would have just let the darkness sit, and I would have dragged myself, said very little to Amelia and James, would have been, withdrawn in my head, continuing to play out how, dumb I felt and feel bad about myself. And I wouldn't have been able to shift myself, at least not that fast as I did. Like, that's the practice at work, because I have practiced this many times, shifting myself, noticing, my thoughts and my energy, and choosing differently to align with how I want to show up and what I want to create in my life and in my moments like that. And here's the thing, like we have dinner, we hang out, we watch a show. After all of that, I still come back to my, ideas. And now that I'm out of my spiral, and I had shifted my energy, I felt a bit more fresh. I had got to laugh and connect with other people. Now I was able to have a different perspective and remember who I am and remember that I am on my own path. See, the comparison isn't the problem. It's the story we tell ourselves about what it means. Like, nothing about my work had changed that day. The content was already out there. It was still out there. The ideas were written out. The keynote was written out. The bio was done. Nothing had changed, but my perception of myself did. Suddenly, my work was lame, soft, boring. Suddenly it's, I'm, not meant for this. Maybe I'm wasting my time. Maybe I'm doing it the wrong way. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Like, that was a big thought of mine. Like, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe if this is how you're supposed to, quote unquote, show up and people like it and engage with you, then maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in how I'm going about this. Maybe I'm wrong in how I'm expressing myself and my ideas. But hear this when I say this. This is so freaking important. So hear me on this. Someone else's strengths is not evidence of your inadequacy. Someone else's strengths is not evidence of your inadequacy. Just because they do it one way doesn't mean your way is wrong. Just because they do it well doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean that now you've got to completely change yourself and your approach. Because their way is their way. And however they're choosing to go down their path and express themselves and build whatever they're building will work for whoever resonates with them. I am not wrong because someone else is doing it differently than me. It's like something that you know, but you don't truly let it land in those moments. Like, that comparison can be such a thief of our energy and our joy and our creativity. But also, this is something that I've come to understand and realize, that comparison can be used for good. Much of the time we run with it and we use it to make ourselves feel bad. But what if we used it as a way to teach us to feel good, actually, about ourselves? Because comparison can reveal what we admire, what we value, what inspires us. It can reveal the qualities and the traits that we strive to embody. Because if I'm looking at you and I'm comparing myself to you because you have something that I want, that I admire, that I like, that is a teaching moment. That is for me to say, okay, yep, yeah, I like that. I'm going to use that. I want to be more of that. What I saw in that girl that I work with, when I saw her profile, what I saw in her was authority, conviction, somebody who had strong opinions, someone who was authentic and free flowing in their expression, and someone who had some unique thinking. And that's what I really want to cultivate more of within myself. So I can use that. It's not about comparing myself to her and feeling bad because I'm not more like her. It's saying, hey, I love what you're doing there. And I want to take some of that and bring it into me. Like, thank you for showing me what I like. Thank you for showing me what I admire. Thank you for showing me what I think is important and valuable. Thank you for showing me what I want to be more of. I'm so grateful you popped up into my feed. Or I'm so grateful I stalked you on Insta. You know? And I think a really important thing to remember is wherever we are right now, in whatever stage you're in, the challenges you're facing, whatever it is, this is the overcoming to the becoming. Like whatever whatever you're up against, the lessons, these moments, this is what you and I, whatever we need to go through in order for us to step into that version of ourselves and become the version of ourselves that so deep down we crave to be and truly do know that we're capable of. Like, I've got to go through this stage of the beginning or feeling like I suck or kind of learning how to articulate myself or develop really compelling content, to speak more boldly, to speak with more conviction. Like, I get to go through this part of the struggle and the mess. And in fact, this is going to be the juiciest part of my story. When I listen to leaders and successful people talk about, where they've come from and what they've gone through, that's the shit I want to hear about. What did you overcome? I mean, it's great to know that where you're at and what you're doing, but like, what are the lessons you had to learn to get there? That's what I want to hear about. And it's the same for me. I can't skip this part. And so sometimes we compare ourselves because it sucks to feel like where we're at and see someone who's a version of like what we'd like to be. And on a side note, I don't know what that person had to go through to get to where they are now. I'm just seeing what's on my end of the screen. But these are the moments like I get to go through this part of the journey and experience that because this is the bones that is the framework for which I eventually emanate from. I think we often believe or think that one day we'll become more confident and that the comparison stops. But that's not how it works. Comparison is going to happen. It just is. Like, I don't care what level you're at. I think that you will find yourself always kind of looking at other people and observing and how they're doing things. And that can be a good thing, like I said, because it can teach you, it can teach you what you want, what you need, what you value. But even if comparison happens, which it will, it's about, I think, really noticing it sooner, remembering who you are faster, that you're here for a reason, and checking the lens in which you're seeing the comparison through and using that to learn from it and choosing to move forward anyways in your lane. If we all shrink because of someone else that we're comparing ourselves to, we would be living in a very dark world. The most successful people, I believe, know that competition isn't truly like a thing. That they're at the top, that there is room for everyone. Just because someone else is doing it well doesn't mean that there's less room for you. I'm laughing because I think that the irony in all of this is that night, Tuesday, after I'd, done this whole spiral, I was laying in bed with my fiance, with James, and he knew that I was feeling a bit off and I'd been feeling a bit discouraged. And he whispered something to me as we were laying there that really brought a smile to my face and actually made me laugh. He said, "You're exactly where you need to be." And I know that's not a funny thing, but I laughed because those were literally my words from the other day I had posted on Instagram actually earlier that I think it was the day before. I was reminding other people that your journey is designed for you. And if you feel like you're behind, you're not where you want to be yet, that usually in retrospect, we look back and we see why we had to go through certain things in order to get to where we are now. That usually looking back, the dots kind of connect, even though they don't always make sense in the moment. And that maybe future you is looking back at this moment and thinking, that's exactly where I needed to be. I had forgotten my own words. And I instantly just felt like relief in that moment. It's even bring some emotions up for me now. Even people who talk about trust and courage and perspective sometimes forget their own message. And the reminder often comes in these very funny or simple ways, like hearing your own words reflected back to you. I don't think that we ever truly outgrow those kinds of moments where even when we're confident or successful, there's still going to be comparison, there's still going to be doubt. And it might be hard to avoid some spirals, maybe some mini spirals here and there. And maybe it's not really about that. It's not about avoiding that kind of stuff. Maybe the real work is in catching yourself sooner, remembering who you are, using that comparison for good, and continuing to move forward anyway. Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If this episode hit home, spread the love. Maybe share it with a friend or drop a comment. I'd love to know what landed for you. And remember, your voice matters. Whatever you're holding back, say it anyway.